I am a strategic intervention life coach, and I've been a yoga instructor for about 30 years. I provide massive transformational value for women and men who are ready to break through limiting beliefs, to stop playing small. This is for those who want to see real changes physically, mentally, professionally, and in their relationships.
Hi, everybody. It's Giselle Toner, and this is Ignite Your Value, the show for people who want to go from broken to brilliant. I want you to know that right now you are in the place where you should be if you're looking to really up-level yourself, because I give all kinds of wonderful information. It's yoga-related sometimes, it's strategic intervention coaching, but more importantly, it's interviews with wonderful people. And today, I have somebody that I am excited to bring to you. His name is Jonathan Christian. I know him not really well, but I know him well enough to know that he is somebody that is going to give us wonderful value, because he's a fabulous person. He's got some really good things up here, which I need to tap into from him. Okay, but anyway, Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Madame. It's my absolute pleasure to be here in your Zoom podcast room. It's fantastic.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, this is going to be all over the place. It's going to be on TV and podcasts and everything else. So this is exciting. But so I wanted to just tell you about Jonathan a little bit. And Jonathan is a social media expert. And basically what that means is that he knows everything about what to do to get yourself out there. But also he is an authentic engagement person. That's the thing that I want to hear more about, Jonathan, the authentic engagement, because that sounds to me like it's going to be pertaining to not only business, but life.
Yes.
So just tell us a little bit about your background and a little bit about your
thanks. I mean, as you'll immediately tell from my accent, I'm not Canadian, although I live in Canada now. I was born in the UK and on a very small island called the Isle of Man. And funny enough, my family history goes back to 1176, so old.
Wow.
And the whole idea of the Isle of Man was like, you didn't need a telephone because everybody knew everybody else's business, which is a good and a bad thing, right? I was brought up very much in almost like an oral tradition of storytelling from my grandfather to my dad to my uncles. We all knew the family history because that's what everybody was so proud of. And obviously along came technology and the island got busier and people moved in from overseas and it lost that flavor. But I never lost the love of stories. And then I moved off the island with my job. I was in a corporate position. I worked in London, England. Terrific. But the difference was, where we lived, people would come home, the garage door would open, they would go in, the garage door would close, and people would just survive. Yeah. And rarely would you really interact with people other than the people you worked with or your family. And it's like, this isn't what it should be like. So eventually I left corporate and I got a position offered to me in a not-for-profit. And for 2 years, I was general manager of a charity, and everybody who worked with me was a volunteer. So people come because they want to, not because they need to or have to. And that storytelling, that authentic engagement came right back up. And I loved it. We won national awards for this charity for what we did. And I moved to Canada, and I have friends in Florida, I have friends in Vancouver, and we decided to move to Vancouver in the end. But there's just something about being around friendly people. And I found that so much so, as I say, in Florida with my friends, and especially here in Vancouver, Canadians are just nice people. Mm-hmm. So then you take this oral tradition of knowing people and telling stories and enjoying that, and then you bring in the social media piece. And for some people, technology creates a barrier and they feel less authentic. To me, it almost like it increases the bandwidth, because now I can still be my authentic self, but around the world at the same time.
Yeah.
I love technology when, especially like with Zoom now, I mean, it's almost like we're in the same room. I mean, the quality of sound and internet and everything is so good now.
Yeah.
So for me, with my social media, it's like everybody has a great story. People want to hear a great story. Let's use whatever platform where your audience is at to tell that story. Mm-hmm. And that's how I do it.
Yeah. And, the good thing about all this is that it is exactly what you have already been doing. You love what this is all about. It's not like you're just doing this to make some money or to survive. This is like your passion, right?
Truly is. I mean, I have a preaching background from way back in England, so I was used to sort of preaching sermons to people and
Oh,
sharing in a ministry sort of capacity. But now it's just life in general, from wine tasting to newborn babies to people who have lost a dog who's just gone over the Rainbow Bridge. I mean, all of these real elements happen every day in social media.
yeah. But
And
I also know that like along the way, right? So because right now you're at a really wonderful place. I know
mhm.
you are. Of course, like we could always be higher up, but I know that you are really doing well. And I want to know, okay, so what you do right now is you are a social media expert. Okay.
Mhm.
What did you do to get to where you are right now? And I'm sure that you had some things to overcome because honestly,
Oh,
I am in this kind of same sphere as you, and in the public and everything else. And I'm always hitting some roadblocks.
yeah.
But believe me, before I got here, it was really, really hard for me. I was struggling so much. So I know that to get to this level, you might have had a couple of little stumbling
Well,
blocks,
yeah, we all do. And it's the Himalayas, isn't it? The peaks and the valleys. I mean, you can see K2 and Everest and they look majestic in the sunshine, but
right?
the weather patterns around them are horrendous. And I
Yeah,
guess my weather pattern really got dark in 2008. I mean, the world economy crashed. We all remember that. And
yeah,
I had this marketing consulting agency doing quite traditional marketing,
yeah.
and virtually all of my client work dried up in a way because everybody trimmed back because they needed to save money. And the crazy thing is, the people that were astute who invested in marketing in '08 came out of the recession stronger than ever. But anyway, people have to know that.
Yes.
But a couple of other things happened. One, I was in a really bad car accident with my daughter where we almost lost our lives. And also my mum passed away.
Oh,
So it's like the perfect storm of like chronic pain, no money, and you lose your mom
oh my God. Yeah.
in the same 6 month period. It was not pretty.
No, no.
So, I mean, I had to grieve my mum, which I never really appreciated what it was like to lose a parent until it's one of your own.
Yeah.
Um, the income side of things really sucked, but you can adapt. You can change your expenditure levels and stuff. But chronic pain,
It's,
there's not a lot you can do with that.
it's,
You can't just say, "Oh, I'm in pain today, but it's okay." I mean, it's not okay. I mean,
no,
my
it's,
neck herniated, my right arm was numb, my tricep nerve was trapped. I was in a bad state. I lost like 40 pounds. Yeah, I was just in a bad way. Anyway, I was able to have surgery to replace a disc in my neck with a titanium disc.
okay.
And I thought everything was going to be great because I had my neck fixed. And then my surgeon says, "So it looks like it's good. But just to make sure, here's what I need you to do. Not want you to do, but need. I need you to stay at home for 6 months and do nothing."
Oh,
I
oh,
went, define nothing. And he went, "Maybe in about 3 weeks, we're going to let you walk to the mailbox.
oh my goodness.
And the heaviest you can lift is a cup of coffee.
Wow.
Not even a jug of milk."
No.
And it's like, you have got to be kidding me. I've gone through like hell and back in the last year already. I need to be out earning money. I need to be knocking on doors and networking and chambers of commercing and all the other bits. And he went, "Not happening.
No.
Not if you want the surgery to work."
Oh my God.
So I'm sitting there one day thinking, what the,
Hmm.
and I have my white MacBook, which was pretty cool in 2008,
Uh-huh.
and my BlackBerry just sitting in front of me. And it's like, well, I have communication tools. I have a Facebook page, which I use to stay in touch with my mom in England with our kids and photograph sharing before she passed.
Uh-huh.
My BlackBerry was good for text messaging and a little bit of email.
Right.
It kind of had a camera, but nobody really used phones for cameras at that point.
Right. Right.
And it's like, So I started, and this was before Facebook had business pages. So I'd heard a lot about Twitter, so I opened up a Twitter account. And then I was looking for work, really, so I opened up a LinkedIn account. And then I started watching a lot of corporate videos on YouTube. And then, so I had this suite of 4 social media platforms in front of me. And it's like, I wonder if I could replace traditional networking, like face-to-face, with online networking.
Right.
And I really felt in the pit of my stomach that this was a way to go. Nobody really was doing it. I mean, I'm not the earliest of adopters. I mean, there's a lot of people using Facebook, but only socially.
Right.
So each day I made myself go to work, which was learning social networking.
Right.
And, this scar that I have from here to here on my neck, I give thanks for now every day, because if I hadn't have had that 6 months of time where I couldn't do anything anyway,
Right.
I would never have stopped and looked and went, I could learn some stuff here. I would never have done it.
So that actually caused you to sit down and actually be one of the earliest pioneers for all of what we're really, looking for right now with social media and how to connect and how to build our businesses. This is wonderful. This is fascinating. In fact, I didn't even know that about you. That is amazing. So now, when you did that, okay, you were finding different ways to connect and have people working together. But so did it grow immediately, or was it like?
What was awesome was my eldest daughter, who's 26 now, but when she was in high school, grade 11th grade, they had actually an entrepreneurship class. It was a very big high school, and they taught entrepreneurship,
Okay.
which is pretty revolutionary. I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
And each student was assigned a mentor. And Gemma's mentor was a fellow called Nagel. And I would watch the email exchange that she was having with him, and I was loving his wisdom. An elderly gentleman, but I loved his wisdom. So I wrote him and said, I so thank you for investing in my daughter's potential career and giving this advice. You and I think the same way about a lot of things. I'm kind of home-based right now because I'm recovering from surgery, but maybe sometime we could meet and share an adult beverage or whatever. And he went, well, I'd love to meet you too. He's very, very prim and proper. So he came to our house. Uh-huh. And of course, I got up and I'm sitting here on my computer on my BlackBerry and all these notes. And he went, what do you do? So I explained. He went, isn't that just for kids? I went, oh my goodness, no. Social media. I said, I actually predict that social media is going to be the biggest revolution in communications since the Roman roads or the telegraph or the telephone. He went, really? That's Jeff.
Wow.
Well, I've wondered about this, and I'm kind of curious. And he had an e-zine called Marketing Dangerously, where he would feature cool marketing techniques going on around the world. Okay. And he wrote to about 3,500 people every week.
Wow.
He said, have you ever written a blog? I went, no. He said, because he was a journalist. He worked for a newspaper and then became a consultant. He said, I would love for you to write me a featured article about all your learning in social media. He said, I'm going to make you my social media expert.
Wow.
That's like in 2009. And it's like, okay. So every Thursday, I wrote an article, and it literally was, what is Facebook? What is Twitter? Right. Why would you share a photograph, without sounding narcissistic? And for that 6-month period, I wrote every week. So not only was I learning, but I was sharing it through Neil's blog and his e-zine.
Right.
And at that time, I built my own website as well and started sharing my own blog. So by the time I was fit and healthy and ready to drive again, I generated a lot of comments through the blog, like, could you do this for us? So I ended up almost straight out of the gate with about 7 clients who wanted me to set them up on social media.
Wow.
And then help them start telling a story.
Yeah.
Either Facebook or LinkedIn. And there wasn't a lot of attraction at that point, but there was definitely there was a movement towards an interest in online marketing, because Yellow Pages was still the biggest revenue earner. Yeah. Websites were there, but they were more e-brochures than they were working websites. Right. And then newsletters, or print newsletters, even in the mail. Right. That was what most businesses did.
Exactly.
This was a whole new tool.
Right.
And I just went like a rocket into space.
You took that ball and ran with it, boy. Let me tell you, I cannot believe that was that long ago that you were just really getting the feel for all of this, and your brain automatically put it together like, this is amazing, and we've got to make something big out of this. And it really is now. If you're not on social media, you must be living in a cave somewhere, because exactly right. You've got to do it. You've got to do it. And the reason why you're doing what you're doing isn't just because you love what you do, but I know that you love helping people.
I do. And My wife Debbie and I, we had our first business back in 1989, and by 1991, we just closed the doors. I mean, it was we didn't have a business plan. We weren't well financed. We had a great idea. It was based on disposable income. The economy changed.
Yeah. What was the business back then?
We had a clothing store, actually. In fact, we ended up with 2 clothing. The first one did so well in the first year. We got our investment back. I opened up a second one.
Wow.
In a different area of town. And
but
never done that. But anyway, so I learned from that. But I remember, I sold my car. We actually sold our house. We moved in with my parents.
Right.
Just because I hated the idea that I owed people money.
Yeah.
I didn't go bankrupt. I could have done, I guess, but I chose not to. I paid everybody out personally. It took me a while.
Right.
But that hurt. Really hurt. And I have a real passion for people with great ideas and a real desire to serve people through their crafting or gifting or whatever it is that they want to do.
Yeah.
But they don't have the business smarts to make enough money to stay sustainable after that first year.
Right. And, especially since you went through that really tough time with the business failing, that took a lot of integrity for you to sell your house, go move in with parents, and pay off people rather than file bankruptcy, which is what everybody does today. But you did it the ethical way. And you know what you really do reap what you sow. Okay. So you did things with an honorable kind of a feel, which is really wonderful. And that's the way it really should be. And it shows in what you are like today and who you are. One of the things that I notice about you is you're always so pleasant. You're always the nicest guy ever. And I'm like, is he always that way? I need to talk to your wife.
Well, I do sleep.
But
yeah, I have down days. Sometimes I just need to go into my inner introvert and just be a recluse now and again, but not very often, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, we all do that. But you know what? Honestly, working with someone like you really would be a pleasure for anybody, because you're the kind of person that they would not feel afraid to ask a question or to, want to know more.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have clients in their 20s and clients in their 70s.
Wow. That's wonderful.
The 20s, they've got the social media down better than me, but they have business acumen. They have no worldly wisdom to know how to relate to people and create a product and bring it to marketplace that people will desire.
Yeah.
And then the 50s, 60s, 70s are like, okay, I have one of these, but really?
Yeah, really, I've got a phone. I don't know what to do with it though, right? But now, so that brings me to my next question. Who is your main audience? Like, who really comes to you? I would imagine that it is a hugely diverse audience, because everybody.
After 10 years of doing this now, really, we've got audiences in almost every sector you can imagine, but predominantly, I love to work with passionate people.
Yeah.
With integrity. And obviously you need a budget. You can't just do this for free. Yes, you can get what I call a Walmart website, and it's fine, to begin with for some small businesses, but you need to invest in quality, because stats tell us that when they find you online, people make a conscious decision whether they have arrived in the right place or not in less than 3 seconds.
Yes.
So if your website loads slowly, the images are grainy, the messaging isn't crystal clear, people have already left.
They're gone.
And if you're not on page 1 of Google, if you're not coming up with that keyword research, if your picture isn't engaging and inviting enough for people to say, oh, that's interesting, you've lost.
Right. Right.
So a lot of this takes time and effort, and I have a real gift for knowing what works, and I have an eye for seeing the right angle and the right picture and the right story caption. Yeah. And I guess after 10 years and 600 experiences, you learn that.
Wow.
So what I say to people is, if what you're doing brings value and has integrity, I can help you make it happen.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the people at the end of the day. It's P2P. It's not business to business, business to consumer. It's person to person. Right. I'm not into Fortune 100 companies, although we've done a lot of training with some of them.
Okay.
But really, it's about people.
Yeah.
If you can sell with integrity and passion and do more listening than talking, and paying it forward, it's actually not that hard to be successful. I mean, I won't say it's not hard work, but the actual principles of being successful are actually quite simple. And
it's like you need
really proud of that.
You need to really put yourself in the shoes of the person that you're working for, because let's face it, it's very easy to say, oh yeah, I know what you're going through. You really don't. Sometimes you don't know what they're experiencing. So, but if you have that empathy and the ability to really feel, you really will be a winner, because look, let's face it, the only way you're going to really survive and succeed is by giving them what they want. And the only way that you can do that is to really be attentive and listen, not just look at the bottom line. Okay, I'm going to be making 15 grand today, or 5 grand, or $3 or whatever. You've got to look at the fact that, yes, I need to serve this person. What do they need? How can I give it to them? And that's with everything in life, not just with business. It's with your family, you know, your wife, your children, your friends. And that doesn't mean that you've got to be selfless all the time. You've got to be a priority in your own life and really, really feel good also, and know that you're not overdoing it, and know when to draw the line. You need to know when you're being taken advantage of also. I'm sure that you've got people that are clients maybe who maybe have gone a little overboard and really tried to put you through the ringer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I know now who is not my ideal client.
Okay.
I can tell.
How do you know?
Very, very quickly.
Do you know quickly, or do you have to wait a while?
Well, this is, my wife and I are business partners, and Debbie has, I don't know, like a sixth sense. I mean, I always look at the positive of people. I always see the best in people, and I think I can help anybody. Yeah. Quite often when we're at events, because I do quite a lot of international speaking now, and people come up to us, and I'll have a list of people, I'll go through them, and Debbie and I'll talk about it, and she went, yeah, no. I went, no, she's not a fit for you. And it's like, really? She said, no. To my cost, whenever I have ignored my wife's intuition, I have paid that price. But even though my logic might say, I've learned to trust that almost like inner essence that Debbie has that I don't. Yeah. And that's why we make a great team. At the same time, too, if I can see somebody and they have way more ideas than they have budget right now, or they have money, but they don't have the willingness to put in the effort, then sometimes I just have to say, I don't think we're the right agency for you at this time. Right. Yeah. And there may be other ones that are out there that would just fit the bill, but I don't feel that we can serve you properly. Yeah. Rather than me taking a client on that I don't really enjoy working with, or B, them having the money, but I don't actually think it's going to work because they're not willing to put in the effort. Yeah. I'd rather not do that at all.
Exactly, because in the long run, it will not be benefiting you. You actually won't be getting the results that you're looking for as, a business owner and as an entrepreneur. Because look, let's face it, we all want to, at the end of the day, say, I feel so good because I really got that person what they needed. And that feels wonderful. But speaking of the women's intuition, yes. Oh, yes. Listen to your wife, honestly, because we do have, not that men don't have it, but, from being mothers and nurturers and caretakers and givers and, everything else, we have developed a high level of sensitivity where we can really feel the vibration, and the vibration might not be good. And honestly, Jonathan, I can tell you, when I walk into a room, I know automatically who I need to avoid and who I need to go towards. It's unbelievable, but I always am right, and I know. And when I don't follow that, I'm sorry. Just like you, if you don't listen to your wife, you're sorry, right?
Yeah. So I'm just defying logic, and if she says no, okay.
That's it. Oh my God. But that's so awesome. Now, what is on the horizon for you, like now? Is your business pretty much, going forward with the same?
Well, thank you. Yeah. I mean, 2012 was kind of like a transition year for me because I'd grown my business big enough that I could cover all of our family expenses. We were doing quite well, but I couldn't expand anymore because there wasn't enough hours in the day. Right. So my first business acquisition, if you like, was to invest in getting my wife to leave her job to come work with me. We had enough income so that, because then it's like you're the sole income earner for the whole family. There's no benefit package from her position or anything like that. It's like down to me. Yeah. So, but we knew that this was where we were going. So Debbie joined me. And then, so fast forward to today, we have 5 full-time staff plus 3 amazing contractors. So probably 85% of the work that we do,
Right.
I'm not involved in.
That's cool.
I mean, I strategize, I lead generate, I sell,
Yeah.
but most of the work is done by somebody else as well, if not better than me, which I'm super happy about.
Yes.
Which has given me a chance to do what I really do well,
Yeah.
which is the deep dive strategy and also the motivational speaking around all of the stories that have happened to us in our lives and business case studies that we've helped challenge and overcome and succeed
Yeah.
on stages literally around the world. And Debbie and I get to travel. So we always add on a day or so either side. So we get what we call workations.
Yeah.
And I get to motivate people. And that's where the majority of people hear about us as a company. I mean, obviously we have amazing SEO. We're online everywhere. And that totally works.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like getting somebody's essence face to face from an audience perspective or hanging around at a 3-day event and getting to know a group of amazing people. And
Yeah.
that's where we're at.
It's really wonderful. I know. I just recently did something too myself in New Mexico. And you're right. There's nothing like going into someone else's domain in their space and then connecting with that whole other audience and having them really understand what you do and really like it, hopefully. And then you've got a whole new set of eyes on you. And it really is wonderful. Not to mention the fact that you're visiting other places, you're getting a little bit more of a feel for different parts of the world or the country. It is wonderful. Yes, it really is. But now, okay, so I want to know something. What is it that you would recommend for the audience right now that's listening to you and watching you from a business perspective and a personal level? So both, actually.
Well, a ton of things happen to us every day. And for us, it's run of the mill. It's like, well, that's normal. You know, that happened last week. That always happens. And most people don't appreciate the real gift that's going on around us that other people would really benefit from knowing about. So when I talk to people about blogging, well, I don't know how to blog. What would I write? I said, well, you just told me a story about XYZ. Well, yeah, that's the blog right there. Really? Yeah. I said, well, I'm not really a writer and my grammar sucks, my spelling sucks. I said, look, okay, I have an answer to this. There's an app on your phone called rev.com. Just download it, speak, just tell me the story, but keep your phone in vocal range at the same time.
Wow.
Several minutes later, that whole story has been transcribed into either a digital or a handwritten type document, depending on which one we use. We get the whole story back.
What is the name of that?
An 800-word document right in front of you. You can edit it a little bit, and your blog's written.
What is the name of that app again?
Well, there's a family of them. One is called Rev, rev.com. When you use Rev, they have a team of people that literally transcribe physically, so they listen and they understand the accent.
Okay.
They have a baby brother called Temi, T-E-M-I, which is all digital speech recognition, and it's not as accurate. It's pretty close.
Okay.
But the difference is, 10 cents or $1 a minute. But I can record 3-4 minutes on Temi for maybe 40 cents.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Whereas I might pay $3 or $4 on Rev. But either way, I mean, nobody's going to work for $3 or $4 to write a document for me.
That is incredible.
And that's what I try and encourage people to do, is start documenting these stories. Because these are the stories that really showcase your expertise in a way that's just very matter of fact. You're not selling at all. You're just sharing what you do.
That is, something, I'm writing this down myself, rev.com and temi.com. Okay, T-E-M-I, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing, because a lot of times I sit at my computer and I get that blank stare and I'm like, oh, but then I already knew that maybe earlier in the day I had a great idea and I lost it.
Yeah, I mean, some of my best ideas are when I'm walking. I mean, I try and walk about an hour every day now because it's summertime. Even I was walking an athletic track last night and I suddenly had an idea for, because we're in a show coming up and I have to write some copy for a magazine article. And it's like, and suddenly it was in my head. I'm like, oh, I must write that down. I went, I'm in a little athletic field. So I just picked up my phone. I spoke into my phone. By the time I got home, it was already in my inbox, copy and pasted it into a document. It was done.
That is amazing. That is Amazing. I love you. Thank you. You have just made my life so much easier just from this 5 minutes of talking about this.
Oh, you're welcome.
Wonderful. And I know that there's a lot more, Jonathan, where that idea came from.
No kidding. No, always. The other thing is photographs. I mean, iPhones, Android phones, I mean, they're incredible cameras now.
Oh, yes.
So here's one thing I do. Whenever I go to an event, I like to become the selfie king, because I remember people better rather than their business card by their face. And almost at every conference you go to, everybody has a name badge, right?
Right.
So I say, hey, I've loved meeting you. I don't want to forget this relationship. I'd love to maybe add you on Facebook or something. But for now, can we just take a selfie? And everybody says yes. So, and I said, let's make sure your name badge is in the selfie so I can remember. Even if they don't have a business card, I go home, I go through my pictures, I'll try and find these people on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and say, do you remember that guy who took a selfie? It's me. I'd love to hear more about, where you're going with this idea. And I'd love to connect with you professionally on LinkedIn, but truthfully, I'm all about friends and family. As you know, Facebook is, where I'm at. Would you consider accepting a Facebook request from me? I always ask permission. I never get said no.
Oh my gosh.
And that's how I build rapport.
This is another genius move here. Writing it down. Selfies. Oh, I wish I had done that when I was away at my conference. Because
here's the other useful piece of that is that quite often I might be on somebody's podcast, or they might feature me in a article about a joint venture or something like that. Yeah. And you often get these emails that, oh, my dear friend, blah, 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 is having this most incredible blah, blah, blah. And you just think, this is somebody's stock writing that the VA created and you're just sharing it. But if I said, oh, my friend Giselle has this thinking out. This is Giselle and I, we met in New Mexico. We had such a blast. Let me tell you about her program. Suddenly I brought in a whole personal connection, which is night and day to that stock email template that you've been sent to send out on somebody else's behalf, because we've just made it authentic.
I love this so much. You have no idea. The audience is listening, but I am loving this probably more than anybody else right now.
Yeah.
That is so great, Jonathan.
That's how I do.
Wow. And this is something that people absolutely love. You are so right. Who doesn't love a selfie? Who doesn't love recognition? And the bond and the communication will always be there.
And here's the other technique I do with Apple now, is if I meet somebody and I forget who they are and I think, what did I mean? Oh, I met them in October in LA. So I just go to my Apple and the little photo album, and in the magnifying glass search box, I just put in LA 2018. And then all my pictures from LA 2018 come up in a little short album. And I go through and say, oh, Marguerite, there we go.
Oh my God, can I do that with an Android?
I probably, I'm sure. I'm an Apple kind of guy, but
wow, that is amazing.
That has changed so much.
But everything comes up because of the fact that you've identified it a certain way, and the
phones know where you are at all times if you have your notifications turned on, so it geographically tags you wherever you go to.
Right.
And then I just remember approximately the month, November 2018, LA, and straight into that event again.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. This information is gold. It is truly gold. And I have to say that I know that there are a lot of people, Jonathan, that are going to want more. They're going to want to know more from you, and possibly how you can help them, because a lot of people are really right now at that point where they're struggling. They want to build their business. They don't know how to do it. They don't know the best way to do it. And they do need it. They absolutely do. They have to have professional help and guidance. We all need a coach. We all need a coach. It doesn't matter who you are. And, hey, look, I do what I do. I'm a coach in the personal realm. You are the business realm where you're doing, but I need you too, because my business needs you. I've got to be able to reach you.
I'm ready.
I know you are. Yes, you are. So I just want to say this has been really wonderful. And I am really positive that people are going to be contacting you and saying, I need you. So how can anybody, if they want to, tell them the best way to reach you.
People always used to say, what is it you do? And I said, I help people. And they said, how do you help people? I said, well, it's all about people and stuff.
Yeah.
If the stuff has value and you get the people part right, I can help make that stuff happen. Mm-hmm. So you will find me at wemakestuffhappen.com.
There you go. Perfect. wemakestuffhappen.com. When they go on that website, they will be able to find you, talk to you, interact, get information, see what you do, see how you do it.
Absolutely. I am not ever going to be the cobbler with holes in shoes when it comes to marketing. So yes, it's kind of a little sort of foible of mine that I'm pretty OCD around. If I teach it, I have to live it. And we pretty much do. I'm not perfect, but I give it my best shot.
No, you're really wonderful, honestly. And I'm so thrilled. I am thrilled that you took the time, Jonathan, to do this, because I know that you're really super busy. And I know that you and I have tried to connect a few times, and it's been, I know it's been a little crazy, but thank you so much. I so appreciate you doing this.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. And I just want to say, once again, you have given us true gold. There are certain things that just with those few things that you said, I know my business is going to be a little bit changed just in the short time that we've spoken. So it's wonderful. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Jonathan, Christian, thank you so much. And I'm glad that everybody came on here to Ignite Value. And we're going to be interviewing again with other people. And Jonathan is definitely going to be one of the highlights of my interviewers. I know that. So, but anyway, that wraps up our show for today. And Jonathan, have a wonderful rest of the evening.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Right, everyone. Bye. Talk to you soon again. I'll talk to you again, rather. I swear I didn't drink anything. I'm just loopy from the day. It's been a long one. All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Hi, everybody. It's Giselle Toner, and this is Ignite Your Value. This is the show about up-leveling yourself, going into any area of life that you want to, that you've been afraid to go into. You might have had some hesitation before and things have stopped you, but this is all about getting the love you deserve, getting paid what you're worth, and everything else in between. And this is really about me showing you different ways to do things, but also, more importantly, being able to bring you amazing people that I'm going to be interviewing. And today I am so excited because I have someone who I love dearly. Her name is Michelle Nagel. Michelle Nagel is also known as America's #1 resilience expert, who is going to talk to us about the importance of learning to roar, R-O-A-R, and being able to roar in business and in life. And of course, R-O-A-R, roar, is an acronym for things that are really amazing. And Michelle is going to explain what that's all about. But I'm excited because the word roar fits me perfectly. I like that lion thing, So Michelle, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so glad you invited me. Thank you so much, Giselle.
You're welcome. So Michelle, I know that you've got so many things that are to your credit. You're a best-selling author.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You are an amazing person. You are luminous. Exterior is luminous, but your heart and your soul is also just as luminous. And I've always admired you. And I'm just so excited because I'm going to be learning so much more from you in addition to everybody else today. So the book that you wrote is called Suffering is Optional. I love that title. Love that title. I live by that acronym, or not the acronym, I live by that title because suffering in life is something that we all will do from time to time. Mm-hmm. It's optional, okay? So let's talk about you, a little bit about you.
Well, that book came about as a result of my life because I was born into an extremely abusive household. And of course, when you're born into that kind of household, you don't know any different. You think that's just the way the world is. But I felt like I was behind this big glass wall and I couldn't figure out how to get from where I was to where everybody else was. And they looked like they were having, a really great life. And I wanted some of that, but I couldn't figure out how to get there. I kept slamming up against this invisible glass wall. And then I began doing research and study, and I went to counselors and coaches, and I had to do a lot of really deep inner work because I had been programmed for failure. I'd been programmed to continue that kind of life. So all the choices and decisions that I would make, I would say to myself, Michelle, you're not that stupid. Why can't you figure this out? And then I was finally able to figure it out. And I came up with a program called Soul Shift, which is what really happens when you finally go from who you used to be to who you are, who you want to be. And when I was able to do that, then I realized that there are 4 principles that are critical for people to adopt. And if they do, then they can do anything in their lives. They can change their life anyway. And that is the ROAR. So I have a program called Roar to Win, and the ROAR stands for resilience, optimism, accountability, and resourcefulness. And if you are resilient, we think of resilience as being you either have it or you don't, but it's like a battery, and it's something that you can recharge. It's something that you can refuel so that the next time a trial or trauma or whatever comes up, you have that resilience to be able to deal with whatever it is. Most of the people in the world are running on empty.
So
and then
the resilience part of it, that actually gets stronger as you go along, right?
if you practice, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
So what do you have to do to practice it? What do you do?
Well, in order to practice resilience, you have to learn to live in your heart, not your head.
Oh.
Most of us go through life thinking from here on up. And when we do that, we hear ourselves. We don't hear anybody else. It's our ego running our lives. And so it's like I would be sitting here thinking, okay, what is the next thing I have to say to Giselle? And I have to make sure that my hair looks just perfect. And, and I'm not hearing what's really going on. And I'm not seeing what's really going on either. But if I go back into my heart and I breathe through my heart, that changes my entire autonomic nervous system. Wow. So that I become grounded, and so that I can then hear other people. I can begin to get bits of information from my body. Because, we talk about heartbreak. We talk about butterflies in the stomach. We talk about a lump in your throat. So if we have all of these body experiences that we talk about, then why don't we pay attention to them?
Right.
It's like, why do you have that lump in your throat? And I know anytime I get a lump in my throat, it's because I'm not speaking my truth. I'm not saying this is something that needs to be said. And I'm keeping it all balled up. It's like all the words get all tangled up and that's where they sit. Yeah. And so I can't talk past that. I can't breathe past it either. And my body is just going, hey, this is what you need to say it.
Yeah.
And so
when you go into your heart,
mm-hmm.
you really are connecting to something much greater than yourself, because that is the soul, that is the connection to your highest power. And so basically you're listening to your higher power that knows infinitely more than this little gray matter in here. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. So in the autonomic nervous system, there are 2 branches. There's the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Mm-hmm. And the sympathetic goes from the back of the head down the spine. And it starts at the brain, it goes down to the spine, and it takes all the information there. That's what we call the reptilian brain. Right. And so that's where the fight or freeze comes from.
Right.
And that's what that controls. That shuts down any thinking. It shuts down your digestive processes. It shuts your body down.
Right.
On the other hand, we have the parasympathetic, which comes from the front of the body, comes from the body to the head. So it's collecting all that information from the body and putting it into your head, but it stops at your heart.
Oh.
And so there's 80% of the information of the 100% that's coming from your body, 80% of it runs through your heart. And they have discovered that the heart has a brain. Mm. And so there's the same cells that exist in the brain cells also exist in the heart. Yeah. And so that information that stops at the heart, unless you just ignore it, is able to give you a whole bunch more information. Like the intuition that you have is like, you should do this. We've all had those things that have happened to us. It's like, do this now. And we're going, why? Well, just pay attention. Just do it.
Yes, I know. But that's fascinating. That is fascinating, really. Wow. And a lot of it is inside of us already, but a lot of us are just so busy with our lives that we really don't listen to the internal signals. But with this kind of information, it's going to actually help people to really become familiar with exactly what this is and how to do it so that they're much more able to deal with the craziness of life.
Yeah, when you get into your heart, then you stop listening to all the stories.
Yes.
You listen to all the stories all day long, and you make these stories, these grandiose stories up as to why this is happening to me, what the other person is thinking, why they looked at you sideways. You've got all of these things that you're making up in your mind.
Right.
And psychologists have discovered that 95% of the stories that you tell yourself are wrong. And so you need to get back into your body to be able to understand what your body is telling you.
Yeah.
And to do that, you breathe through your heart. Now that sounds pretty silly because you obviously don't have lungs in your heart, So for me, to just make it better, the work better for me, I imagine that my heart has gills so that I can breathe in, and I breathe in love, and I let it sit and fill me, and then I'm able to breathe it back out again. And you can actually change the dynamics of a group situation just by sitting there quietly breathing love in and love out, or gratitude in and gratitude out. And it can shift the entire energetic environment.
Yeah, it's kind of like your frequency and your waves and your field is actually expanding out there, and it helps others because they're going to obviously and absolutely start feeling it because it's real. It's not, a figment of your imagination. Our energy definitely is real. It's measurable. We can't see it, but it's real. And the heart really is stronger than the brain. I know that.
Right.
The signs and the signals that are coming from the heart go much further and much stronger than brain signals. Very, very fascinating. But I also wanted to talk to you about the O. So what's the O?
Yeah. The O is for optimism, but I would like to add one more thing about the heart, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Just because sometimes when people hear this, they think, oh, yeah. It's got 25 years of science-based research done behind it by Heart Math Institute. Right. And they have, and so they've got like 200 peer-reviewed journals now that have been able to talk about, this stuff is real. So pay attention.
Yeah. Now, Heart Math is a separate organization that does all of this, investigating the
heart studies. Yes,
heart studies, and that's really great. Good to know for sure, because when it's backed by scientific proof, it makes it that much better rather than just a lot of my heart's talking to me. No,
right.
This is this is wonderful.
Yeah. So the O is for optimism. It means, believe that the universe is out to do you good. We have a tendency to have a negative bias, and so we're always looking for the danger signals. So just believe that the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is out to do you good because they love you, because you're wonderful, because you're a divine being, and why not have wonderful things happen to you? And so when you do that mindset shift, so that you immediately begin looking for the positive. You immediately begin looking for, okay, this was a really horrible experience. I did not enjoy that at all. What did I learn? What can I take from this? How did that help me grow? And how can I avoid having it happen again? But it's being optimistic about something. So even in the face of the most traumatic experience that you could ever have in your whole life, you can find something good in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because everything has a lesson. Everything, even the worst heartache, you're absolutely right. There is a lesson in there. But, when someone's going through it, it's very difficult for them to understand it or believe it. But I know for a fact that it is absolutely the truth, because even you, Michelle, you and I have been through similar situations with really bad experiences in our childhood. And I am so thankful that I went through that. Of course, when I was going through it, I would have never said that. But I'm so thankful now because it brought me to where I am today. And that gives me the hope to know that when things are really going wrong, there's another door opening somewhere, and it's for a reason, right?
Absolutely. Everything that happens to us really does expand our possibilities for what we can do to make the world a better place. I recently suffered the most excruciating, painful experience of my entire life, it just totally took me down to the floor. And because of that experience, I now have greater empathy for people who feel like they don't want to be around anymore, like it's maybe time for them to take themselves out of this life. So I know what that feels like, and I can have empathy. Before it used to be an intellectual kind of a thing. It's like, wow, they must really be in a lot of pain to want to commit suicide. And now I can say, is this what this feels like?
Yeah.
Because I know. And so that has expanded my capacity to be able to help other people exponentially. I wouldn't be doing what I do today if it wasn't for my childhood. I hated it. It was horrible. I would never wish that on my worst enemy. But because of it, I'm able to bless the lives of other people because I truly understand what it's like. So whatever happens to you, yes, somebody else did it to you, but what are you going to do with it?
Right, exactly. And so we are looking at A.
Accountability.
All right.
That is to accept 100% responsibility for your own life and then hold yourself accountable for it. So that means you have to stop blaming, complaining, and whining. It's not everybody else's fault. So if somebody does do something to you that is really, really traumatic, I mean, it's really a horrible thing that they did to you, then you, instead of being the victim and going, oh, how awful, they did this to me, then you can just say, oh, isn't that interesting? How am I going to handle with it? Where am I going with it from here? So my aunt, many, many, many years ago, was the greatest example of this to me. On her anniversary day, her husband had gone, they'd been married for like 60 years or something, like a very long time. And they were just the cutest little couple. But my uncle had gone down to the corner store to buy a card for her. And on his way back, somebody ran a red light and he didn't make it back home.
Oh my God.
And my aunt, instead of being, terribly upset and suing the city, which she could have because the bus driver ran a red light, instead of going through all of these horrible things of how could they possibly do that to me, the only thing I ever heard from her was just joy and rejoicing and gratitude for the years that they had had together and how much she loved him and how much he had filled her life. And she was always the happiest woman that I ever knew. And so from a very young age, I had that really, really great example of she accepted 100% responsibility. Okay, my husband was just killed. Now what do I do with that? And what she did with it was that she expanded her outreach to other people so that she served them in many ways.
Wow, what a phenomenal woman, really, to be able to do that in the face of such a horrible thing. What heartbreak. He's going out to get a card for you and he doesn't come back. Boy, that's really tough. And she really did turn that completely around and didn't blame anyone, didn't blame anybody else, just really appreciated the fact that she had the love of her life for as long as she did. That's really wonderful. Really wonderful. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. We all need to take some lessons from her.
Yeah.
Right?
And then the final one is R for resourcefulness. And that is that everything that you need or want is already here. It's already in the world around you. And you may have noticed, they call it the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. It's when you become aware of something, you suddenly begin seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
So I bet you when that cute little red Tesla of yours that you wanted, when you decided that you wanted that, you began seeing them everywhere.
You are so right. They were popping up everywhere. And I'm like, okay, I need.
Yeah. So when we put our attention on something, then the universe is going, oh, this is really important to them. Let me draw that to them. Yeah. And so we can either draw good things or bad things, depending on what we think about. If we think about, oh, I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to ask somebody out on a date and they're going to laugh at me or something like that. Then that's what you're going to get. So the universe works really, really hard through our brain, which is called the reticular activating system.
Yes.
And it makes it so that we are more conscious and more aware. I want that, I want that, I want that. And it will bring it to you. Okay, they really want that. That's really what you want. So be careful what you think about, but realize that everything that you want or need is already here. It doesn't have to be created out of nothingness. It exists here already.
You know, that is what I love so much about you. I don't know too many people that know about the reticular activating system. That is so beautiful, because I've been really, looking at many, many different things. And for years, I've always been studying all these wonderful things that we really can use to our benefit. That's one of the things that I learned about a long time ago, but nobody knew about it, or it was really kind of like obscure. You had to really dig for that information. And the fact that you know it, I love you. This is beautiful. Oh, I have to say that each one of these things that you're talking about right now is so critical and so important, especially right now, not just for women, for men too, but a lot of women are going through really tough times. And they really are at that place in their lives where they have served everyone else. They have given so much of themselves. They may be at the point of their lives now where they're thinking there's nothing left, and boy, are they wrong. So
absolutely, yeah.
There is
so much.
Yes, yeah. You're one of those women that really they need to connect with. And I want to talk about your book too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the full title is Suffering is Optional, Step Out of Darkness into the Light. And I've been writing that book for like 10 years because I didn't think anybody would ever want to read it. So it made it like a chapter here, a chapter there, and a whole lot of, I ought to do that someday. And then I was diagnosed with cancer and had to go through a whole bunch of major surgeries. And when I woke up, I was just overwhelmed with this incredible joy. It's like, oh my goodness, I have one more day here on the earth, one more day to make a difference, one more day to help people. How am I going to do that? And so in the 3 months that it took me to recover from all of those surgeries, I wrote that book and had it published, and it became an Amazon bestseller.
Wow.
So,
I didn't know that part. I didn't know that part. So that's how it happened. Wow.
Yeah. And it's really been an eye-opener for a lot of people, especially the individuals who have read it have been at the point where they think, well, horrible things have happened to me, and horrible things always will happen to me because that's just my lot in life. Mm-hmm. And it's not your lot in life unless that's what you want.
Mm-hmm. Right. That is incredible. So, talking about really coming from that place of despair and coming out of that, especially with what you have been through, for you to be able to be where you are right now and to be able to help people is just really wonderful, because a lot of women and a lot of people in general, not just women, would have taken all of that and they would have sunk right to the bottom and they would have stayed there. But I am so excited because this is what it's all about. It's all about finding that place. There is so much light. There is so much hope. There is so much help, not only in the form of human help, but in divinity. And all you need to do is just be open to it and understand that it's real, and just say, I'm ready. And you will start having so many doors opening for you. I know that, and you know that. We both experienced a lot of this. So it's really, really wonderful.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where you put in your mind, I want to have a different life. I want to have a happy life. I want happiness. I want joy. I want love, whatever it is you're looking for. And when you really put that out there and believe that the universe is out to do you good, then those are the things that are going to start coming toward you. You can't really have a really great relationship with somebody if you don't clear out all the baggage, though, because it will come up and it will bite you in the butt and it will sabotage your relationship. So it's really important to find a really good coach who has been there, done that, and overcome it. And there's a whole lot of people who can say, oh yeah, I get that, I understand, and they'll talk to you and they listen to you, but if they don't have the tools to be able to actually help you release that negative energy from your body, like yoga is so good for that, to be able to release all of that trapped energy, then you're not going to be able to be successful. And it's important to have a coach rather than trying to do it by yourself, because a coach is not inside you. A coach hasn't built up all the protection that you have built up all your life to be able to keep yourself safe. The coach can just cut through all that BS and go, oh, I see this over here. Have you looked at that?
Yeah.
and then they're able to help you through.
Yeah, that is really true. It absolutely is. So yeah, I think that it's so important, Michelle, for people to know that, you know, you've got this expertise because of living through things. And you're so right. It's really easy to go and get training and hang a little shingle and say, yeah, I'm an expert. But if you've never really been through it, let me tell you, it's not really going to even work at all, because you don't have that experience. It hasn't really been something that you've walked in those shoes. So how can you possibly help someone else? And I know that you have walked through those shoes. I mean, in those shoes, and through a lot of the stuff that a lot of people are in the middle of right now, and they're looking at it like it's desperation time for them, but it's really not. It's not at all. So what is it that you can give your audience right now, and our audience right now, like little something that can direct them in the right place, or something that you can give them for a little food for thought?
Okay, I would like for you to look at how would your life change if you accepted 100% responsibility for it. And I've taught businesses to do that. And there was an individual who, like the boss, she would go and she would say, did you do this? And they would say, oh, I couldn't. And they'd stop and go, wait, I promised I would accept 100% responsibility for this. And so they said, I did not do that. I chose to do this instead because I thought that this was more important than that one. And so just the, you know, the passing of the buck and the, oh, it's not my fault and all of that stuff, it changed it, and it made it so that that particular company made it to the top salespeople of the year for their industry, because everybody accepted 100% responsibility for that. So just find an area. If you even just took even just 5% more responsibility for your life today, for everything that happens to you today, how will that change your life?
Wow, that's gold. That is gold right there. It really is. And that is something that is just, it's easy. We hear it. It's easy to think of it. It becomes difficult when people think it's something that's going to cause them pain, because let's face it, you're going to have to be honest in this respect. And a lot of times people are hiding. They're hiding behind that facade or that excuse, even as far as their own lives are concerned. Whether it's, you know, your business is failing, your love life is terrible, you need to lose a lot of weight, your health is terrible. Taking responsibility 100% really is a game changer for everything.
It is. I had somebody tell me recently, somebody who had made choices that had just impacted the lives of at least 20 people in a really, really negative way. And as the thing they said to me was, you know, that principle of 100% responsibility, that's the one I hate more than any other. And I look at the life and I'm going, yeah, I can understand that.
Yep, it's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you, Michelle, this has been really wonderful, and you've given us so much to really just absorb, to contemplate, to think, and I love it. I love it all, and I really want people to be able to find you easily. So how can they get a hold of you if they want to, or like, you know, be a little bit more involved in what you're teaching? So how could they get a hold of you?
Either at my website, which is isoulshift.com.
So it's the letter I?
Uh-huh.
And then
isoulshift.
Shift.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, or Michelle with 2 L's at isoulshift.com. You can email me directly. And I would be thrilled to anybody who's listening this to have a conversation with you to see if there's some way that I can help you.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, your website again is isoulshift.com, or Michelle
at isoulshift.com.
Oh, Michelle. Okay. And it's MICHELLE.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's ISOULSHIFT.
Great. Good. Well, that's wonderful. And I can't thank you enough for taking time to do this, Michelle, because I know you're busy and you've got a lot of things going on. And, you know, I know you've got a lot of other people that you have to serve, but it was great because I think people are really going to be able to sink their teeth into some of this stuff and really start going inward and really thinking about their lives and the changes that they need to make for themselves. So,
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks so much, Giselle.
oh, you're welcome. It's been a pleasure, really. So, all right, well, that wraps up our show for today, everyone. I am Giselle Toner with Ignite Your Value. And again, we will be bringing you lots of other things that are going to help you in the future. So just remember, this is really all about getting the love you deserve, getting paid what you're worth, and a lot of other things in between. So make sure that you stay tuned, and we will be back again. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.